Good day, brothers and sisters. Today I want to talk to you about something powerful, something that can transform your life, your faith, and your future. The title of this message is Focus on Yourself. Stop wasting your time. It's time to stop allowing distractions to consume us, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and to start aligning ourselves with the purpose that God has specifically designed for us. Your purpose is a gift from God, uniquely designed for you alone. It is not something that can be replicated by anyone else, nor is it a path that can be walked by anyone other than you. God, in His infinite wisdom and love, has crafted a specific calling for your life, one that is perfectly suited to the person He created you to be. This purpose is not arbitrary, it is divinely appointed, etched into the very fabric of your being, and destined to unfold in alignment with His perfect plan. Each person on this earth has a unique role to play in God's grand design. No two individuals are alike, and no two purposes are identical. The experiences, talents, desires, and dreams that you possess are all part of the intricate design that God has woven for you. These qualities are not random. They are the tools, the resources, and the signs that point you toward your true calling. Your purpose is tied to who you are becoming, and who God has destined you to be. The world often tells us to compare ourselves to others, to measure our worth based on external standards or the achievements of those around us. But the truth is, your purpose cannot be compared to anyone else's because it is uniquely yours. What others are called to do may be different from what you are meant to do, and that's okay. Your worth is not determined by how well you perform in comparison to others. It is determined by the fact that you are fulfilling the purpose God has placed in your heart. God's purpose for your life is not a general one. It's not something vague or undefined. It is specific, detailed, and intentional. He has set out a course for you, and it's one that only you can walk. This unique purpose is intricately woven into every part of your life. The challenges you face, the opportunities you encounter, and the relationships you form all have a purpose in guiding you toward your destiny. When you begin to understand the uniqueness of your purpose, you'll realize that no one else can fill the role that you've been given. No one else can take your place or fulfill the calling that is uniquely yours. You were created for a time such as this, with a distinct set of gifts and a divine mission that only you can accomplish. This is why it's so important to honor the path that God has set before you. It's easy to become distracted by the noise of the world or by the opinions of others. But when you focus on your unique purpose, you are aligning yourself with the divine plan that God has ordained for you. Your purpose will not be fulfilled by doing what someone else does or by following someone else's journey. It will be fulfilled by doing what God has called you to do, by stepping into the identity He has shaped for you. When you begin to embrace the uniqueness of your purpose, you stop trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. You stop comparing your progress to others and start walking with confidence in the path that God has set before you. There is peace and freedom in knowing that your purpose is yours alone, and that it is perfectly designed by the Creator of the universe. Time is one of the most precious gifts that God has entrusted to us. It is not something to be squandered or taken for granted. Every second, every minute, every hour is a divine opportunity to fulfill the purpose that God has set before us. We must understand that time is not merely a resource, it is a sacred tool that, when used correctly, brings us closer to our true calling and deepens our connection with God's will for our lives. God, in His wisdom, has given each of us a finite amount of time on this earth. The clock is ticking, and with each moment that passes, we are moving closer to the fulfillment of our divine purpose, or alternatively, to the regret of missed opportunities. The Bible reminds us in Psalm 90:12, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." Time is not something that can be controlled or reversed. It is a gift that must be stewarded wisely. Every moment that we waste is a moment we can never reclaim. When we waste time, we are effectively wasting the opportunities that God has given us to grow, to serve, to impact others, and to pursue our divine calling. We often find ourselves distracted by the mundane things of life, constantly consumed by the noise and the clutter of the world. But in doing so, we miss the deeper purpose that God has for us. The world will tell you that time is something to be filled with entertainment, material pursuits, or fleeting pleasures. However, God's plan for our time is far greater. He desires that we use our time to build His kingdom, to align our hearts with His will, and to walk in the destiny He has prepared for us. To recognize time as a gift is to acknowledge that it is a tool for transformation. Time allows us to grow spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. Every moment is an opportunity to become more like Christ, to deepen our faith, and to strengthen our relationship with God. It is in these moments of investment, when we choose to focus on our purpose and use our time wisely, that we experience true fulfillment and peace. The decisions we make about how we spend our time are the decisions that shape our future. If we squander time on things that do not align with God's plan, we will find ourselves drifting away from our true purpose. But when we consciously choose to use our time in ways that honor God, whether through prayer, study, service, or personal development, we draw nearer to the fulfillment of our calling. God does not give us time for frivolous pursuits, but for meaningful growth and service. Every day is an opportunity to draw closer to the person He created us to be. And it is not about doing more, but about doing what matters most. When we use our time in alignment with God's will, we experience a sense of purpose that transcends the fleeting distractions of this world. Faith and focus are two of the most powerful forces that can propel us toward the fulfillment of God's divine plan for our lives. They work hand in hand, guiding us through the obstacles and distractions of life, helping us stay on course toward the fulfillment of our true destiny. When we have faith, we trust that God has already prepared a path for us, and when we focus, we align our thoughts, actions, and decisions with that path. It is through the combination of unwavering faith and disciplined focus that we are able to achieve the purpose God has set before us. Faith is not merely a passive belief. It is an active force, a deep, unshakable trust in the promises of God, even when the journey is unclear or the challenges seem insurmountable. Hebrews 11:1 teaches us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This means that faith allows us to envision a future that may not yet be visible to the physical eye, but through the eyes of the Spirit, we know it is already ours. When we place our faith in God, we acknowledge that He is the source of our success, our strength, and our ability to overcome any circumstance. But faith alone is not enough. We must also have focus and unwavering commitment to our purpose and to God's will for our lives. Without focus, faith can become scattered and diluted by the distractions of the world. Focus is the discipline of keeping our eyes fixed on the goal, no matter what challenges arise. It is the ability to tune out the noise of the world and remain concentrated on the work God has called us to do. Focus is not simply about concentration, it is about intentionality. It is about setting our hearts and minds on the things that matter most, the things that align with God's plan for our lives. Together, faith and focus form the foundation of fulfillment. When we trust in God's plan and remain focused on our purpose, we are able to overcome any obstacle that may come our way. We stop wasting time on distractions, and instead, we move forward with purpose and determination. Faith gives us the courage to step out, even when the path is unclear. And focus ensures that every step we take is intentional and aligned with God's will. The fulfillment we seek is not found in the things of this world, success, possessions, or recognition, but in the obedience to God's calling. Fulfillment comes when we live a life that is in alignment with our divine purpose, when we actively pursue the destiny God has set before us. By focusing on Him and trusting His guidance, we not only fulfill our own calling, but we also contribute to His greater plan for the world. Each step of faith we take, each moment of focus we maintain, brings us closer to the person God has designed us to be and to the fulfillment of our divine potential. As we continue on this journey, let us remember that fulfillment is not about arriving at a destination. It is about walking in obedience, trusting in God's plan, and remaining focused on His purpose. Through faith and focus, we tap into the abundant life that God has promised for us, a life that is rich with purpose, peace, and divine fulfillment. Distractions are among the most subtle yet powerful forces that can derail our destiny. Every day we are bombarded by countless distractions, social media, unsolicited opinions, time-wasting activities, and even the pressures of daily life. While some distractions may seem harmless or insignificant, over time they can accumulate, pulling us further and further away from the path God has laid out for us. When we allow distractions to take hold of our lives, we are no longer walking in alignment with God's purpose. Instead, we become scattered, unfocused, and ultimately disconnected from our divine calling. God has created each of us with a unique purpose, a specific mission, and destiny that only we can fulfill. This divine plan is not random, it is carefully crafted, rooted in the deep love and wisdom of the Creator. However, fulfilling this purpose requires our full attention, commitment, and discipline. Every moment that we allow distractions to divert our focus, we delay or even miss the opportunities God has set before us. Our time, energy, and resources are precious. And when we waste them on the fleeting things of this world, we fail to invest in what truly matters, the work that will bring us closer to God and align us with His will. Distractions come in many forms, and they often disguise themselves as urgent tasks or enticing temptations. But we must be discerning, understanding that the enemy uses distractions to keep us from recognizing and stepping into our full potential. In Matthew 13:22, Jesus warns us about the parable of the sower, where He describes how the seed that falls among thorns gets choked out by the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches. This is a clear indication that the distractions of life, whether they are worldly desires, worries, or even the pursuit of success, can choke the life out of our purpose, preventing it from growing and bearing fruit. The key to overcoming distractions is clarity of purpose. When we know who we are in Christ and what He has called us to do, distractions lose their power over us. Our purpose becomes a guiding light that directs our thoughts, actions, and decisions. We become laser focused, able to filter out the noise and stay on course, regardless of the external pressures that may try to steer us off track. Focus is not something that comes naturally to most of us. It requires intentional effort and discipline. The more we train our minds to stay focused on God's purpose, the more we are able to tune out distractions and pursue our destiny with greater determination. In Romans 12:2, we are reminded to not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This renewal of the mind is a powerful tool in overcoming distractions, as it helps us to see life through the lens of God's truth and purpose. When our minds are renewed, we begin to recognize distractions for what they are and choose to reject them in favor of the life God has planned for us. Distractions also take us away from the vital practice of reflection, prayer, and meditation. These spiritual disciplines are essential for deepening our relationship with God and staying in tune with His voice. When we allow distractions to dominate our time, we neglect the very practices that keep us aligned with His will. Prayer and quiet time with God provide the clarity we need to make wise decisions and avoid falling into the trap of unnecessary distractions. It is in these moments of solitude that God speaks to us, guiding us toward our destiny and equipping us with the strength to resist the noise of the world. Furthermore, distractions can cause us to doubt our purpose and lose sight of our calling. When we are distracted by the opinions of others or the expectations of society, we begin to compare ourselves to those around us. This comparison breeds insecurity, and insecurity leads to hesitation and indecision. But when we focus on God's truth and trust in His plan for our lives, we can reject the lies of comparison and embrace the unique path He has set before us. We are no longer swayed by the opinions of others, but are driven by the conviction that God has called us for a purpose that is greater than anything this world has to offer. In the pursuit of our destiny, we must make the conscious decision to prioritize what matters most. Every goal, every dream, every step we take toward fulfilling God's will is a direct reflection of our obedience and commitment to His purpose. As we focus on our purpose, we begin to see the distractions for what they are: temporary, fleeting, and ultimately powerless against the eternal plan that God has for our lives. Let us commit to clearing away the distractions that try to steal our time and energy so that we can fully embrace the destiny God has prepared for us. Through discipline, focus, and unwavering trust in His plan, we will fulfill our calling and walk in the fullness of His purpose for our lives. Divine success is not merely a concept or an abstract idea, it is your birthright. You were created by God with purpose, potential, and the divine power to succeed. From the moment of your creation, God designed you for greatness, equipping you with everything you need to fulfill the plan He has for your life. Success as defined by God is not about worldly achievements or material accumulation, but about fulfilling His divine purpose for you. The success God has in mind for you goes beyond what the world often celebrates. It is success rooted in righteousness, in aligning with His will, and in bringing glory to His name. God's plan for you is not just a vague hope or an uncertain future. It is a deliberate design, and within that design is the divine success you are meant to experience. In Jeremiah 29:11, God declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." This promise is not limited to the people of the past. It is for you today. His plans for you are good, filled with purpose, and designed to lead you into success. But to walk in this success, you must first understand that it is your inheritance as a child of God. The key to unlocking this divine success is recognizing that your success is not determined by your own strength or abilities, but by your willingness to submit to God's will and trust in His plan. Many people strive for success in their own strength, relying on their own understanding and efforts. They chase after what the world deems successful: riches, fame, and recognition. But true success, the kind that endures and brings fulfillment, is found when we surrender our will to God's, aligning our goals with His divine purpose. One of the foundational truths that must be understood is that divine success is not about striving endlessly without purpose. Rather, it is about walking in obedience to God's direction. When you align your steps with God's plan for you, success flows naturally. You begin to see your work, your relationships, and every area of your life through the lens of divine purpose. When you seek first God's kingdom and righteousness, all the things you need will be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Success is a byproduct of living in alignment with God's will. The world may tell you that success is about what you can acquire, who you know, or how you perform, but God's definition of success is grounded in your relationship with Him. It is about the faith you exhibit, the purpose you pursue, and the integrity you maintain. It's about how you serve others, how you honor God in everything you do, and how you fulfill your role in the kingdom of God. When you understand that success is tied to fulfilling God's purpose, your approach to life changes. You no longer chase success based on societal standards, but based on divine principles. However, to walk in divine success, you must also be willing to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but they do not define your success. In fact, they are often the very things that refine you and prepare you for the greatness God has in store for you. In Romans 8:28, we are reminded that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even the challenges you face are working together for your good to fulfill God's plan in your life. The obstacles that may seem like hindrances are actually part of the process that shapes you into the person who can carry the success God has planned. Divine success also requires you to embrace the abundance that God has for you. Too many people struggle with a mindset of lack, believing that there is not enough for them. But God's economy is different from the world's. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and He has no shortage of resources. When you embrace the truth that you are blessed and that God desires to see you thrive in every area of your life, you begin to step into the fullness of His provision. Abundance is not just about financial wealth. It is about living a life full of peace, joy, health, love, and purpose. It is the total flourishing of your mind, body, and spirit, all aligned with God's will. A crucial part of experiencing divine success is living with gratitude. When you are grateful for what you have, you acknowledge that all success comes from God. It is He who gives the ability to produce wealth, Deuteronomy 8:18. Gratitude helps you stay grounded in the truth that your success is a result of His grace, and it opens the door for even greater blessings. As you cultivate an attitude of gratitude, you position yourself to receive the fullness of what God has for you. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and you trust that every step you take is guided by God's hand. Divine success is a continuous journey. It is not a destination that can be reached through a single act, but a lifestyle that you walk daily. It requires faith, trust, and determination to continually seek God's will, to act with purpose, and to align your actions with His plans. The more you walk in alignment with God, the more you will see His hand at work in your life, bringing you into the divine success He has promised. Ultimately, divine success is your birthright because you are a child of God, created with purpose and equipped to achieve great things. This success is not defined by worldly standards, but by how faithfully you live out your God-given purpose, how well you serve others, and how you glorify God in everything you do. The success you experience in life is not just a personal achievement, it is a reflection of your obedience to God and your connection with Him. When you live with a deep sense of purpose, faith, and determination, you are not just walking in success, you are living the life that God intended for you from the beginning.